IP address. What is an IP address? It is a logical address. MAC address is a physical address. And IP address is logical address. And the people will ask questions. So, what is can we communicate with the MAC address? We cannot communicate with the MAC address. MAC address is fixed address. Okay, assigned by manufacturer assigned by manufacturer of NIC only. Who manufacture NIC, they'll assign MAC address. So we cannot change MAC address as per our requirement. Of course, already I told there is a MAC address spoofing is there. Spoof means duplicating MAC address. We do MAC address spoofing by using certain tools. You can do it, but it is not changing your actual MAC address. We cannot change the MAC address. Okay, so no logical communication will happen. So only MAC address, use it for a security purpose or confirmation that is the destination address, like that. Okay, IP address is a logical address. We are all communicate with IP address only. You're all communicating with IP address only. We'll configure as per network. Okay, we configure the IP address as per the network. We can assign IP address, okay, manually. Assign IP address manually and automatically also by using DHCP server. Okay, so IP address is changeable. Okay, it is changeable. So that is the main 2 points of your MAC address and IP address. Always remember, guys, all communications, all network communications, all communication means all network communications through IP address only, not with a name, not with a MAC address. In communicating, we use MAC address, but we are not communicating to MAC address. Okay, so this is first some points because it's a question, that's why I told that one. Okay, next one is again what is IP address? Again logical address. Two versions are there, IPv4 version and IPv6 version is there. IPv4 is 32-bit IP address, IPv6 128-bit IP address. Be careful here, guys. IPv4 is 32-bit, IPv6 is 128, not 64. Remember. Okay, when you got a mind 32-bit, automatically next one is 64 will come. But here it is not 64. One more step forward, that is 128-bit. So 2 to the power of 32 is 4.3 billion IP addresses you are getting. Go to the calculator, open the calculator, and you can do it also. So if it is something is updated, it is here it is, you can see. So 2 to the power of 32 This is the size, total size of IP address. It is total IP addresses in IPv4, total IP address in the IPv4, this size. Okay, it is like a thousands, millions, billions. So 4,294,967,296 IP addresses. So with the short form is a less than 4.3 billion IP addresses, or almost 4.3 billion IP addresses. Same thing here, it is 2 to the power of 128. It is almost like a 3.4 billion IP addresses. You will get it. Billions of IP addresses. Lot of IP addresses. You will get it. Or you can say 3.4 into 10 to the power of 38 IP addresses. You will get it. If you calculate 2 to the power of 128, sorry, yeah, 2 to the power of 128, correct. So this is the size, 3.4 10 to the power of 38. These means of billions of IP addresses. You will get it. Okay. So IPv6 is a very big network. When IPv4 is researching, that time only IPv5, IPv6, like that, they just started research. But IPv4, once they're done the configure IPv4, they release IPv4 into market first. Okay. That time the network size is limited. Okay, only certain places, only in certain departments, IP addresses are there. In IPv6 and IPv4, both are built, but they check it. IPv6 is more advantage than IPv4 and 5. Now they release the IPv6. But lot of countries not accepting IPv6 because of still they are using old technologies. We think lot of countries means India is a very poor country. In India, we don't use IPv6 kind of stuff. No. In America itself, they don't use IPv6 in the public communications. Okay, so never compare. Always like India is not accepting. We are always compare, na? So uh, Germany is using 5G. Japan is already build 5G. Okay, or 10 Gbps internet connection, 20 Gbps connection. Of course, the big countries also it is not there. It is small countries, they can implement. Okay. Of course, IPv6 has its own advantages while IPv4 is also there. But here globally we are using IPv4 mainly. Okay. In the public. So who will tell which IP address you have to take care? Okay. Who will tell which IP address in which region, which public IP address you should use it, like to from where you will buy this. IANA, okay, is an organization. International Assign Number and Authority Number and International Assign Number and Authority. Okay, so this organization will take care of which region or which ISP, what is the public IP address they can able to use it. So this is there anyway IP address kind of stuff. Okay, now we'll come to IPv4. It represented in decimal. Okay, decimal numbering system. So IPv4 we write in the decimal number system, whereas IPv6 we use hexadecimal. Guys, I think everybody knows binary, decimal, hexadecimal differences.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very good. If you have a doubt, then tell me. I will show you how it is there. Okay, so it is represented in decimal number. So how this IPv4 is there? Example of IPv4. So we can write. So for example, 192.168.2.123. Or 12, whatever it is. It is easy. Okay, this is an example of IPv4. Example of IPv6. Different type of IPv6 are there. It is not like this is only one IP address. There is a different ways of IPv6 is there. This is also IPv6. Okay. So here I use just I'm telling so how big it is thing. So um, four parts are completed. So four parts are there. Four more parts are there. F is also there, but I don't put a FF. Yeah, you can use FF also. Okay. IPv6 can be in a different ways are there. We require a NAT and PAT technologies to make it more communication. Okay, so we need a lot of communication things are there, right? For internal to external communications, we need a NAT PAT technologies. No need of NAT PAT. Network address translation, port address translation. Okay, this is one more point. Okay, so I am creating new window here. NAT and PAT we have to discuss. Layer 3 switches we have to discuss. Modem, firewall, VPN. Okay, so one separate day we have to separately we have to discuss these things. VLAN, sorry, what is VLAN? Also we'll discuss. Okay, NAT and PAT kind of techniques we use it. Here we don't require. Okay, subnetting is very important concept in the IP addresses. Here is subnetting is there, but it is will tell prefix kind of stuff we use it. Okay, so we have a unicast, multicast, broadcast IP addresses. In IPv6 also you have a unicast, multicast, anycast. We don't have a broadcast here. Anycast. Okay, here again. So before we go, again we'll put it unicast, multicast, broadcast, anycast. What is unicast? So one-to-one communication. Okay, it is one-to-one communication. One-to-one communication means you have a PC and you have another PC. Okay, so for example, this is PCA, this is PCB. I want to send a packet. I have multiple PCs are there in the network. I'm sending a packet to A to B. I will send it. So I said destination PC IP address, right? I said a destination PC IP address. So you are telling some addressing. We are addressing a particular device with IP address or a name. That is called a unicast. That is called a unicast. One-to-one communication. Unicast. Now what happening? Yeah, this is the one. Multicast. One to many. Okay. So one to many is an example is like your WhatsApp group. You put data anything. You post any in your WhatsApp. It is received by multiple people, right? So that is a many cast. Here it is. For example, I have a server and I have a clients. Multicast addressing is used in a different places. Okay. For example, just an example, I'm using a WDS server. Okay. So Windows deployment server means we can install operating system with this server. And I have a clients like this. So all systems will get a same data. All these three systems getting a same type data. No difference in it. So not required individually. We don't need to unicast it. We can simply multicast it. Can simply multicast it because all these systems required same data, same protocol, same information only. So I'm deploying 3 machines. I'm installing operating system, same operating system only, same data, same booting. So what we use? We use internally a multicast address. So multicast address we don't assign to any system. It automatically based on the protocol or maybe you configure in the server. So all these services, the service related to WDS, service related to WDS, service related to WDS, use single IP address only one single IP address only. So that is a multicast address. Here each PC to communicate, they use a different IP addresses, unicast IP addresses, but this service use a single IP from the multicast. What is multicast example is better easy to understand example is one to many. It does not mean one person talking to multiple people. You put a data in the here. I shared yesterday. I told morning 10 o'clock class. Then all the group members are received a packet. Right? Everybody knows. Broadcast one to all. So there is no limit. One to all. Like you put a loudspeaker, okay, or you put a AM, FM. These are all broadcast only. Okay. So you are sent to everyone. Sent to everyone. Okay. So what is the broadcast? Broadcast is you don't know the destination and you are sending to every PC which is connected to network. That is a broadcast. That is a broadcast. You're sending to every PC in the network. For example, I have a PCs, computers in the network. Irrespective of what configuration it is, what IP address it is, you are broadcasting to everyone. Okay. For example, this is PCA. Send a packet to everyone. Those who are connected in the same LAN network. So this is the broadcast. Anycast. Anycast. Anycast used by IPv6 only. Anycast means so one to all, but not all, but not all. Okay, but only to same protocol. Okay, same type of protocol only. Protocol enabled. So IPv6 protocol only. I'm not written IPv6 protocol because it's IPv6 related only. Same thing only. You have a computers. Okay, and there are connected. There are connected. Okay, so here it is. It use only IPv4. It use IPv4 enabled and IPv6 also enabled. This is IPv6 enabled. So this is IPv4 only. And this is IPv4 and IPv6. This is also IPv6. So what happened? For example, anycast means, for example, it is this PCB A, C, D, E. Yeah. Broadcast means packet sent to every PC. Those are connected, whether IPv4 or IPv6, it broadcasts to everyone. Anycast is not like that. It broadcasts to only IPv6 enabled PCs only. Where IPv6 is not enabled, it don't broadcast to that PC. It don't broadcast to that PC. Okay. So in the adapter in their machines, IPv6 is enabled. The broadcast is they can able to get it. Okay, so they can get it. So that is called a anycast. So within particular protocol only, within that IPv6 protocol is enabled, we received a packet. That is a anycast. Of course, simplex, full duplex, half duplex kind of stuff is also there. So we'll also see that one later. But this is the words are came here, so that's why I explained unicast, multicast, and broadcast, and anycast. So IPv6 don't use broadcast; it use only anycast. It means it not send a packet to everyone. It only send a packet to only those who are enabled with the IPv6. So again, IPv4 32-bit, IPv6 128-bit, 2 to the power of 32, 4.3 billion IP addresses, 2 to the power of 128, so 4.3 billions of IP addresses. IPv4 decimal format, IPv6 hexadecimal format. Okay, it contains a 128-bit number. Okay, there is a few small differences are there. Localhost address is 127.0.0.1. Here it's a colon 1 only. Localhost or loopback address. So what is the localhost? What is a localhost? Again, guys, if you take this example in the PC, this PC, the first PC having some IP address. Okay, so for example, it is having a .10, .11, .15, .20, something IP address is there. But all PCs themselves, okay, computer name is A, PCA, PCB, PCD, like this. Okay, there is a computer name and there is a IP address. But every PC itself, irrespective of what is the computer name, what is your IP address, every PC has a name itself. Itself means you are communicating to your PC only, from your PC. Source is your PC, destination also your PC. In that cases, every PC has their own name is there. Localhost and localhost IP address 127.0.0.1. So every PC name is localhost for their self, and local IP address of localhost is 127.0.0.1. It is a very important point. Whether it is there in a question bank or not, it's the most common in the interviews and also very important for your system. Okay, my PC has a name, my PC has a name, my PC has an IP address, but I'm running a service. So I'm running a service. I want to check the service through a network link. So I can use localhost. For example, I put a localhost. I want to open. This is a sharing open. Like you want to open a sharing for remote system. Okay, so / localhost. Click OK. It open the sharing data of my computer only. Okay, so that is localhost. In IPv6, localhost address is this one. IPv4. Okay, sometimes to it use an IP address itself like a 0.0.0 for certain protocols like a DHCP time. Okay, like this. In IPv6, it's just a colon only. Colon only. Okay. In IPv6, IPv4 is divided into classes. Okay. Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D, Class E. Okay. In IPv6, we have like this. No classes here, but it is divided like this. Types are there. Global Unicast, local, link local, okay. Yeah, broadcast, anycast, multicast. Okay, so these are the things. So global unicast address. So global unicast is nothing but a public IP address, directly a public IP address. It is /3 I think 000, right? Yes, /3 notation is there. Like it starts with a 2000 and ends with a 3FFF. The starting part only. The starting part I'm telling. Okay, so it is look like this one. Okay, we are not in a what we can say. We are not in a. I'm not connected to Zio now, so that's why I didn't get any IP address here. If I am connected to Zio, I can able to show you the global IP address also. So this is my IPv4. This is a IPv6 address, but it is link local. If you see FE80, okay. starts with a FE80 : like this. It is a self-assigned IP address, IPv6 address. Okay, self-assigned one only. Okay, private and only LAN part only, private LAN purpose, not public communication, only LAN only. It is self-assigned, no need to assign anything. Okay, so of course multicast, other local unicast addresses are there, brought anycast IP addresses also there, but these two are very important. Link local, private IP address, self-assigned by computer only. It is self-assigned by computer only, starting with the FE80. Just you have to enable IPv6 only. You have to enable IPv6, then it is self-assigned. Okay, so here in IPv4 we have a classes, class A, class B, class D, class E kind of stuff. In this one only we have a multicast, unicast addresses. We'll get it. Private, public IP addresses in the classes only. But in IPv6, they're separated: public IP addresses, private IP addresses, link local IP addresses, multicast IP addresses, unicast IP addresses. Like by header only, you will understand it. Okay. The self-assigned means you IP address. Self-assigned means PC itself assigned an IP address if it is failed to get a DHCP IP address. Okay, in a self-assigned IP address in IPv4, APIPA, automatic private IP address is there. Okay, page of 169.254.0.0.0. No, it's look like this one. So I will tell IPv4 separately. That's why I tell only this one. These are the sum of the differences, guys, IPv4 and IPv6, and details of IPv4 also there here. But I will go to more details of IPv4. Okay, some differences. So if the question comes like what is the difference between IPv4 and IPv6? IPv4 is 32-bit, IPv6 128-bit. So IPv4 4.3 billion IP addresses 2 to the power of 32. Okay, IPv6 2 to the power of 128, 3.4 billions of IP addresses. So 3.4 into 10 to the power of 38 IP addresses. Very simply say 34, after 34, 37 zeros are there. Okay, here it is, very big, large network. So it is entire globally we can cover with the IPv6 address without using NAT and PAT kind of stuff. Okay, very powerful, very secure compared to IPv4. It is a very powerful, very big, very large IP address. It is a large size of IP address and secure IP address also. So if you learn IPv6, you can't learn IPv4, and you don't require to learn IPv6 also. Okay, IPv4 represented in decimal format, IPv6 represented in hexadecimal format. Example of IPv4 and example of IPv6 you can write. NAT and PAT we use to, in the technique we use in IPv4, and in IPv6 we don't require NAT and PAT kind of stuff. Okay, we use a subnetting concept to here we use a prefix concept here. Of course, here also we use prefix concept also, both side. But IPv6 is like a prefix concept is there. But subnetting calculations are not required. Actually, no need to learn subnetting concepts here. IPv4 unicast, multicast, broadcast. IPv6 multicast, unicast, multicast, anycast. Here it is. Again, no need of subnetting. Okay, no need of subnetting. No need of subnetting because we have large number of IPv6, or I can say IPv6 size is big. Network size and number of hosts are more. Network size big or number of hosts per network or more. That's it. So unicast, multicast, broadcast. In IPv4, localhost name is 127.0.0.1. Here it is. Localhost is : 1. Okay. My PC, if in case any IP address in IPv6 0.0.0, here it is : only. We don't have classes like a class A, class B, class C in the IPv6. We have a global unicast, link local, multicast, anycast, local unicast, global unicast, local unicast, link local, okay, and multicast and anycast IP addresses directly. So global unicast is directly a public IP address type, and link local is self-assigned private IP address, works within the LAN network only. Okay, every NIC IPv6 is enabled automatically. IPv6 link local IP address will be there. Okay. In IPv4 we have a self-assigned IP path. So that's about your difference between IPv4 and IPv6, and there is a small introduction of IPv6 also done. Very good. Next one is again IP address. Only IPv4 you are going to learn how it is there, what are the classes and all. So what you guys will do, just relax 5 minutes. Just relax 5 minutes. 12:10. Only 4 minutes. Just relax. We'll be back.